Hello and welcome to the Kia's 2 Cents podcast, where I, Kia, give you my 2 cents on all things TV, film, books, and more. And today is the Black History Month special, part 1. What is part 1? Well, this is the part where I give you my list of favorite Blackity Black movies. Now, before I get started, just a disclaimer, by Blackity Black, I do mean that most or all of the cast is black. Sorry to the movies where we just star in them. We'll leave those for another time. Also, there will be 10 movies on this list. I could go on, and I'm capping it at 10. 10 movies, but not a top 10, because a top 10 requires all of the thought, and I'm not gonna do all that right now. So it's just 10 movies, but not my top 10, that are my favorite Blackity Black movies. So let's get started. I'm gonna start off with a comedy, and that is Kingdom Come. Now, I feel like not a lot of people talk about this movie, which is why it's always something that I will mention for a comedy movie, for a black movie, whatever. Now, if for some reason you don't know what this movie is, Kingdom Come is about the Slocum family. Yes, down south. It is what it is. Their patriarch passes away, and this movie goes through what I'm calling the black funeral process. I call it that because, yes, it is a process, and it is very distinct, and unfortunately something that I have been through multiple times, so I can say this. It is the most accurate representation of the black funeral process that I've ever seen on screen, anywhere, television, film, whatever. Now, first of all, you have a stacked cast because you have Vivica A. Fox, LL Cool J, Anthony Anderson, Jada Pinkett Smith, Whoopi Goldberg, and that's not even the end of the list. It goes on and on. That's just what I'm remembering off the top of my head. It's also, like I said, it's a comedy, so it's unbelievably hilarious. One of the funniest movies that I've ever seen to this day. I could pop it on and I will be laughing hysterically at all of the jokes and everything that's happening like I haven't seen it before, and I've seen it a million times. And it's like one of the most quotable movies for me. Like, the amount of times I've said, "Put it away," and if you know, you know. But I could recite the whole thing while it's on, like it's nothing. Like the one scene when Loretta Devine's character is yelling at Jada Pinkett Smith's character in the closet, and she's like, "We are the Slocums, and we're gonna have this dinner, and we're gonna serve this dinner with our heads held high if it kills us. And you come out of here, you come home." Like, the amount of times myself or someone that I know have been like, "Now does everyone have everything that you need?" Like, just quote after quote after quote. Even like, I remember the first time I saw this movie because my sister actually saw it first and my cousin saw it first, and they were both quoting it, and I'm like, "What are y'all doing?" And they're like, "Oh, it's from Kingdom Come." And I'm like, "Well, I gotta watch this movie," and we had it at home, so I went and I popped it in and I watched it. It's just unbelievably hilarious. And I can't talk about this movie without talking about the soundtrack, which was run, I guess is the correct term, probably not, but whatever, by Kurt Franklin, which is unfair, but like, I don't know how they got him to do it, but thank God, because that's one of the movies that I remember watching and singing along to all of the music in it, but also being like, where can I find the soundtrack? Because I need to listen to it immediately and add these songs to a playlist. Matter of fact, I need to double check and make sure and see if it's on Spotify or something, because it's from back in the day, so I don't really know if they got all the soundtracks on there, and I'm hoping and praying that they do, because I might pop it on and just listen to it one day just because. I want to pop back into the black funeral process and this being totally accurate, because, like, let's face it, if you've watched television, if you've watched movies and someone passes away and they have to have a funeral, it's usually just the funeral that you see, but also a lot of times it's the gravesite portion of it that you see. And us black folks know that the moment the person passes away is when things start. Like, the gathering at the house to figure out all of the details, and it might be multiple times during that week. And then you have the viewing, which varies depending on how much of it you want it to be. In this movie, there was a whole dinner that they had, and that sometimes happens. Yes, there is a whole separate day where people come to view the body. Like, it's just the thing that we do. And then you have the funeral, which is full of hilarity in and of itself, which is weird to say about one of the saddest things that a person could possibly go through and that a family could possibly go through. But as someone who has unfortunately experienced it, I know, because be texting people during it, all of the characters, not just in the family but outside the family, there's always something with the eulogy. The person who's supposed to do this doesn't do that right. People who are only supposed to talk for 2 minutes go on some rant for 5, 10, whatever, and everyone's looking around like, what's going on? What's going on? This movie had it all. And to some, it may be unrealistic, but they were spot on with pretty much all of it. And on an even deeper note, usually when someone passes away, there's always a narrative of like people being very reflective on their life and it changing them in different ways. And we definitely do see that in this film when you have the relationships of the family and how they are with each other, the brothers, Anthony Anderson's character and Jada Pinkett are husband and wife, and all of the stuff that they're going through in the beginning of the movie. Fast forward to the end and we see relationships reconciled. Even, I'll just call him Eddie Winslow. I know that's not his name, but y'all know who I'm talking about if you've seen this movie. His character, whose mother doesn't think that he has his life together, and he kind of realized that he doesn't, and that he's just going with the flow and doing things and not making anything of himself, coming to the end of the film and changing his life around and doing things better than he did when we first saw him in the beginning. And we obviously see that at the end of the movie, but we also get what I'll call the hopeful, yes I am hopeful for today, little epilogue type thing with the credits before that movie and that song came out and happened, because they give us the update of what everyone is doing after the funeral ends and as they go on with their lives, because your life goes on after someone like a father or a grandfather passes away. So that's Kingdom Come, and that's why it's on this list. The second movie on this list is Crooklyn, and honestly, this can just be a placeholder for all of the Spike Lee joints because they all deserve to be on this list. But I put Crooklyn on here because it's one of the ones that I saw first. I did a paper in school on auteur directors, and I chose Spike Lee, and this was one of the movies that I used in my paper to basically prove that he is an auteur director. And the other ones were Do the Right Thing, obviously, and Bamboozled. And out of those three, this one was my favorite. I just really liked seeing a coming of age movie about a young black girl and seeing her and her family and how they navigate, and just like them living life, but then also having to unfortunately deal with the mom getting sick and how they all responded to that. And she's the only girl in the family, which my family's full of women, so I can't even relate. So it was just one of the ones that really stuck out in my memory when it comes to Spike Lee. That's not Do the Right Thing, because I know everybody wants to talk about Do the Right Thing and Malcolm X, and fantastic films in and of themselves, but I just wanted to choose Crooklyn and highlight it for this list. I'm gonna keep going back in time, and for the third movie that I'm mentioning is Carmen Jones. And this is a movie that I only saw for the first time a couple years ago, if not, no, it was a couple years ago. I saw it for the first time and I really enjoyed it. Yes, it is a film adaptation of the opera Carmen. The next one to come after that is Carmen the Hip Opera, which I'm just remembering in this moment. So this was that before that, whatever. But this is a film that stars Dorothy Dandridge and Harry Belafonte. And I could not make this list without mentioning a film from that era and without mentioning a film that included some of the early great black actors of our time that we all know and honor, who opened the door, busted it down, and smashed windows and glass ceilings so we can have the people who are our greats today. It is, yes, it is a musical. And I remember it being fun and like really vibrant and exciting while I was watching it. And I just wanted to include that and give honor to all of those people who broke those barriers and made it happen. Movie number 4 is Lean on Me. Now, how many of us remember and can recite the full song for East Side High? Because I know I can. And I feel like that makes me an honorary student because that's the only school song I know. I don't even know my own from any of the schools that I was in. But Lean on Me was another quotable, hilarious, probably laughed when I shouldn't have laughed, but still laughed. I mean, like, it's Joe Clark, the Morgan Freeman, when he was young, whatever. But again, just like Kingdom Come, it's another one of those movies that I remember watching with my family over and over and over again. It's another one of those movies that I can quote like it's nobody's business, and I don't even need to have the sound on because I know what's happening. It's another movie that has a banger soundtrack, and it's got all these different versions of Lean on Me, but it also has a lot of really good music and from that era, which I enjoy. So, of course, I enjoyed the soundtrack. To this day, still quoting, we don't want a good principal. We want Mr. Clark. Like, there was an Abbott Elementary episode where I was like, they could basically do the same thing. And they low-key kind of did. And it was epic. Don't have any confirmation if they were actually referencing the movie, but I'm going to take it. That's my little side note. So yeah, Lean on Me. Shout out to Morgan Freeman and everyone in that movie. And you can pause and take a moment and sing the school song. I will not do it here, but I will say Fairy Side. I don't have that low register, so sorry if that was out of pitch. Moving on to movie number 5, Waiting to Exhale, which is like my favorite New Year's Eve movie to watch. This movie highlights Black sisterhood in a way that we will always need in film. It shows these 4 women navigating dating in their 30s, which, if you didn't know, I was watching it very recently, like this past New Year's Eve, and Whitney Houston's character was like, I'm 33 years old. And I was like, wait a minute, I just turned 34. What do you mean you're 33 in this movie? So yes, they are navigating dating in their 30s, which also makes a lot of sense and makes this movie a little timeless. And that's kind of unfortunate. It's kind of unfortunate. But we are seeing them navigate it while they're dating these good men, Savannah. And at the end, we get to the beautiful moment where they're with each other and they know their worth and they know what they want out of life, and they're happy and they're celebrating because it's New Year's Eve and and they go into the new year and they know all of these things, and they can put everything that stunk that happened in their lives behind them and move forward into all of the good things that they know are going to happen for them now that they've reached this moment in their lives. And that's a really great thing to see, that everyone needs to be reminded of at various stages of their life, which is why this is a great movie to watch on New Year's Eve, or really at any moment moment in your life when you need to be reminded of these things. And we also get to see a wonderful cast portrayed on screen. And I will say it for all of us. Whitney Houston ain't got no business being dead. Rest in peace. So for the next movie, the sixth movie, I really wanted to pick a Jordan Peele movie, and I was trying to figure out which one I wanted to highlight, and I decided to go with Get Out. Mostly because that was the first one, but also everything that it opened up in the like modern era of film that we're in right now. I really enjoy watching movies where there's a lot of conversation that happens after you view it. There is even more conversation once you see it a second and a third time, and people are actually really excited to see it multiple times. And I know a lot of people are just casual viewers and they go to the movies, they watch it, and then they talk about it, and that's it. But it is really exciting to see people who are usually casual viewers want to like immerse themselves into the movie and see it multiple times and analyze it and dissect it and notice all of the things and then have conversations about it with everyone else. That's really fun. And also, like with all of his movies, just the social commentary that they include and the fact that we got it from a Black perspective, which is always needed and doesn't ever happen often enough, and it's just great to see happen on screen and to see people really soak it in and again dissect it and analyze it and notice all of the things. So Get Out is the one that I chose, but I guess again this is just like a placeholder for all of Jordan Peele's movies, and hopefully there's more on the way. The seventh movie on my list is Woman King. And this movie is like Black Girl Magic, hands down. It is obviously full of Black women in the cast, but then also directed by a Black woman, Gina Prince Blythewood. And listen, everything about this movie is fantastic. The cast, fantastic. Led by the Viola Davis. Like, come on now. How can you not be great with her as your leading lady? But also, like, of course, it's amazing to see strong Black woman on screen, like physically strong Black women on screen fighting, hands down, like the best fighters that they have, and win every battle they're in. There's something kind of amazing about seeing a woman use her nails as a weapon. Like, I ain't gonna hold you. I might have thought about... No, I'm just playing. But it would come in handy is just, go to a stylist and get them like as sharp as you can, just in case anything happens and you gotta, Moving on. But not only do we get to see them strong and fighting and doing all of the things, but we get to see them as leaders. And especially with Viola Davis's character, she is the leader of this army, but she's also leading politically with this land that they're on and coming up with ways for them to continue to be fruitful and survive. And of course we have the messaging of we are not going to sell our own people in order to be successful. Like, there was the whole slave trade thing going on, and their king, or Viola Davis was like, or their king was like, what can we do to continue to have influx of money and keep our society running? And Viola Davis is like, we don't have to participate in this whole slave trade nonsense. We can do other things and be successful and be prosperous. And all of that led her to, rightfully so, being crowned the Woman King at the end of the movie. And in speaking of a group of women fighters who are the best, that leads me into the next film, which I'm sure you can guess is Black Panther, which is a film, a Marvel film, yes, but a film where we get to see an uncolonized African nation. And not only is it uncolonized, it is super advanced technologically. It's they got the money. They got the money and they doing the thing. We get to see black people in all of their glory in this movie, which is something that a lot of us had never seen before, because we get these slave movies, the oppression, discrimination, racism, so much. And now we get to see us as kings and queens and princes and princesses and leaders of tribes. And we get to see us in our deep, melanated, dark skin brothers and sisters. We get to see us fighting and leading and being a part of politics and all of that. We get to see us in all of our crown and glory, with all of the different black hairstyles, from natural and braids and throwbacks to stuff that we just saw in pictures back in the day from African nations. It was a culture shifter. I mean, people were dressing up in their full dashikis and African garb just to go see this movie in the theaters. It was like a whole thing to get your fit and then to go see this movie. And not only to see this movie, but rent out theaters. I got a whole row for my people, mostly my family, but we have friends there too that got some of the seats to see it opening weekend. Like, it didn't matter that it was Marvel, superhero, whatever. This is for the culture. This is for us. And this is something that we all needed to see, old, young, everything in between. Like, this was huge. This was life-changing. Like, I know somebody is probably going to be like, this is a silly little superhero movie, but like, it meant so much to the culture when that first one came out. And I'll include the second one in here because there's two, so why not? We got to see more of it, which is also really nice because sometimes they don't like to do that for us. And we don't get sequels when everyone else does. So I appreciate, even though unfortunately we lost Chadwick Boseman and he is no longer our Black Panther, still appreciate the fact that this story can continue and that we continue to see the fictional country of Wakanda on our screens. And to go from one culture shifter to another, the next movie on my list is Sinners. It's a masterpiece. And I don't feel like I need to explain any further, but a lot of the things that I said about a lot of the other movies that we watched, like Black Panther, Get Out, seeing us on screen in a horror movie and all of the social commentary that came with it, and the fact that the aspect ratio of it all and how it was different, and like depending on which theater you were in, and they were doing different showings for different aspect ratios, and people were going to see it in every aspect ratio that they could, even if that meant driving out of state, hour and a half away from your home just to go see this movie, seeing it 4-5 times in theaters, having it re-released and people going and seeing it 5, 6, 7, 8 more times in theaters, buying it, watching it at home. Like, it's another one of those movies that it didn't matter if you were a casual viewer, like, this made you a cinephile because it's a masterpiece and it deserved all of everything that it got. It deserves a lot of awards, which at the time I'm filming this, I don't know how many they're gonna get. So hopefully they get a lot. They deserve it. But just Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, Miles Canton, like every single person in that cast, whew, it's a speechless type situation, but like also it's a masterpiece, but also there's so much that can be said about this movie and so much that's still being said about this movie today. Like, hands down, will go down as one of the greatest black films ever made. Like, I feel very confident in saying that, and I don't think that a lot of people would disagree with me. So Sinners is obviously on this list, And that makes me want to go watch it again, so I'm gonna make plans to do that right now after I'm done recording this. So Sinners was movie number 9, and before I get to the last one, I have to do some honorable mentions, and these will be in the form of just like genre category. First off, I know I did mention a musical, but I just want to mention all the musicals because I'm a theater kid. I love musicals. I have to like Dreamgirls, like The Color Purple. Y'all, these musicals, Ray, like we all went out and we saw them. Like I have to give a shout out to these movies. And I also, because I'm a theater kid, have to also give a shout out to the stage to film adaptations that we got, like A Raisin in the Sun, like Fences. I just have to give honorable mention to them. And the other group, genre, category, whatever it is that you want to call it, what I like to call the like romantic comedies, dramas, friend group, neighborhood, all of those films, the ones that were coming out in the 90s to the early 2000s, like your Think Like a Man's and Fridays, Barbershop, all them type of movies get a shout out. Because I mean, I said I could go on and there could be more than 10 movies on this list, and so that's why I had to do honorable mentions. But I just couldn't go without saying stuff about these movies because they mean so much to our culture. So I had to give them a little special shout out. So there you have it, my honorable mentions. And last but not least, the 10th movie on my list is The Best Man. And I had to put this on the list. This is another one of those movies where people are just going to be talking about it forever. It's kind of amazing to have a movie come out and then 13 years go by, about 13 years, and you get a sequel and people are as excited to watch that sequel 13 years later as they were while they were watching the first one and waiting to see if anything else could come out. But also it's kind of amazing that that sequel also birthed a television series, and that television series also birthed a novel. I think that might be the first time I've ever seen that. I don't know if that's ever happened where a movie has ended up going across like all of pop culture media and being in all of the spaces: movie, big screen, TV, small screen, and then a book. Like, I can't think of any other movie that has done that. You can try and find one. I'm just gonna say this is the one and only. So yes, of course, I had to talk about The Best Man. And just to give a little bit of a hint into what part 2 will be, I purposefully chose The Best Man because it goes into television. And the next part 2 of our Black History Month special, will be a list of some of my Blackity Black television shows. And I again say some because it's not all, and it's not going to be a ranking either. And that brings me to the end. If you want to give a shout out to some of your favorite Blackity Black movies, go on ahead and do that in the comments. If any of yours are different from mine, of course, add them. That doesn't mean that they don't belong on the list. They just didn't fit into the 10 movie requirement that I had for myself. But y'all can go ahead and list as many as you want in the comments, and we will enjoy and talk about and be grateful for everything that we have, and be hopeful that we get a lot more in the future because we deserve, okay? But thank you for indulging in some of my favorite Blackity Black movies. Again, put yours in the comments. And if you think that you know someone who would enjoy this podcast and this episode in particular, you can go on and share it with them. And I hope you enjoyed. If you did and you want to follow along, you can subscribe and you can follow me on all of my social medias. They'll be in the description box below. And happy Black History Month, and stay tuned for part 2.